Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Foundational Skills in Life Sciences podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Synaptologica. July 15th is the birthday of our podcast. I launched it on the same day in 2023, so July 15th, 2025 marks the completion of the second year and also the start of the third year. So I would say happy 2-year anniversary, and thank you for your continuous support. This is the 59th episode, so on average, I uploaded a new episode every 12.6 days. That is slightly less than 2 weeks. I would like to keep uploading an episode at least every 2 weeks. Today, I would like to talk about what has remained the same since I started this podcast, and also what has changed over the 2-year period. Will there be an important lesson today? If you are a new content creator, or if you are thinking about starting to create contents, my experience can help you experiment how you prepare your content. But otherwise, there will be no solid lesson today. It will be just an update of our podcast. So sorry if you are expecting something important to learn. I hope it is still interesting to you. Today's episode, what has remained the same? There are at least 2 sets of things that have remained the same through these 2 years. I have been doing them constantly. The first set has 5 things, all related to recording and editing. 1. I have been using the same microphone. 2. The microphone is connected directly to a laptop computer. That is, it is a USB microphone. 3. I'm recording in the same studio. Well, I say my recording studio, but it is actually just a walk-in closet in my home with lots of clothes. When I enter the closet, there's a fixed shelf on the wall, and I place my laptop computer and the microphone there. I use the closet because that's basically soundproof, according to many experts. But still, I would have to stop recording sometimes when my neighborhood becomes noisy. For example, my neighbors can mow the lawn, or motorcycles or cars can rev up their engines. 4. I'm editing the recorded audio using the same software. And 5. In the final product, I'm using only my voice. I'm not using sound effects or music anywhere. Almost all podcasters seem to be using the intro music at the start of an episode and the outro music at the end, but I'm trying to keep everything very simple so far. These are the 5 things about the setup of recording and editing. This setup is very simple, and it has remained the same since episode number 1. I'm not 100% satisfied with my microphone, but I would be happy to talk about more details of the setup if you're interested. Please let me know if that is the case. Now, we have talked about the first of the 2 sets of things that have remained the same. The second thing that has remained the same so far is that I'm preparing a full script for each episode. And I would like to talk about this topic a little more today. First, in this part about what has remained the same, and then in the later part about what has changed. Let me start with a definition so that all of us will be on the same page. A full script is a document that I prepare before an episode, and it describes everything that I would like to say during the episode, word for word. I'm preparing full scripts because I would like to present you with the correct information. I also want my messages to you as logical and reasonable as possible. I do not want to say anything strange or wrong to you. Of course, there can be some mistakes. Then please let me apologize. That is not my intention. At the very least, I'm trying to give you helpful information that contains very, very minimal mistakes. I'm expressing what I think to be the right information for you. Simply said, I can convey my messages to you better when I use a full script than when I talk freely. Up to this point, we talked about two things that have remained the same so far. They were, 1, the setup of recording and editing, and 2, preparing a full script for each episode. What has changed recently? Next, I would like to talk about one thing that has changed recently. As we have just talked about, I'm preparing a full script for each episode. That has not changed. But I have changed how to prepare a full script. First, I will talk about how I prepared a full script before. And then I will talk about how I have changed the way I prepare a script now. How I prepared a script before. My old method of preparing a script took much time. To prepare a full script, I was doing many things in many steps. Here's a typical procedure that I did in the past. There were 9 steps. 1. I would think about the content of an episode and take notes whenever I get an idea. 2. Each idea would lead to a draft. Multiple ideas would lead to writing multiple drafts, each with slightly different storyline that I would like to tell. 3. I update those drafts and edit them whenever I obtain updated ideas, and having multiple drafts make a parallel process. 4. I would search for relevant information online or in print, and I would add the information to the drafts so that those key pieces of information would not be missed. 5. And then I would merge the multiple drafts into one. 6. I would edit the merged draft multiple times. 7. I would also check the language, the terms, and the concepts for accuracy. 8. At the same time, I would check and confirm what we have discussed in our previous episodes. This is because, in a new episode, I would like to refer back to what we have discussed in the past, and I would sometimes need to update what we already discussed. 9. And finally, before recording, I will do the final editing. I will edit the entire script one more time, all at once this time, not in bits and pieces as in previous steps. This is the completion of a full script. When I said writing and editing, I meant manually typing by hand. I happen to use Microsoft Word. When you hear all these steps, you can easily imagine that my procedures will take time. Among these, 4 steps took much of my time. They are 2. Multiple ideas leading to writing multiple and slightly different drafts. 3. Updating multiple drafts in parallel. 5. Merging multiple drafts into one. And 6. Editing the merged draft multiple times. Having multiple drafts was like having multiple storylines in parallel, and merging them needs sorting different ideas and items in a linear arrangement. It also needs deleting some or large parts of the written contents to streamline a story. And these decisions to merge and delete took me much time. They were sometimes very challenging for me. Generative AI is good at this type of jobs of merging, sorting, and deleting. But eventually I do not like its tone of writing because its writing has given me a very superficial impression so far. I know that I'm not using the power of generative AI fully yet because I have not supplied it with my past full scripts for it to learn my tone of writing. But at least for now, I have not used the AI extensively yet. How I have updated my scripting process. A few episodes ago, I started changing how to script. and it has speeded up the process of preparing the full script. The change is not complete yet. My method will continue to improve from now on. But please let me tell you how I'm preparing a script now. Basically, the changes are twofold. One is to move from the manual typing of all drafts to an initial dictation. And the other is to limit the number of editing rounds. Dictation as one change. This change of manual typing to an initial dictation is not just about how to input text into a Microsoft Word file. It is also about taking advantage of how we talk during dictation. What do I mean by that? Note-taking has not changed. I will write down individual ideas manually for an episode. But I have started keeping the individual ideas in isolation from each other, like in bullet points or in isolated paragraphs. And I do not weave them into a story yet. I do not try connecting multiple ideas in a story, so I do not use transition words or phrases between the bullet points or paragraphs. These notes do not form even a crude outline. The notes are simply a collection of individual components that would be made into a story in the next step. Then a dictation. When I say a dictation, it is not reading out loud what is written. I will speak, and the computer will transcribe it into a written text. And right before I dictate, I will think about those ideas or notes, and then I will give a talk based on them. Talking is a linear process in terms of how we tell a story. So in a way, by giving a talk and dictating it, I am forced to merge multiple ideas into a single story. And the story will usually flow naturally and nicely in a linear manner. This is very good because there's no need to make multiple stories, and because dictation is much easier for me than working on long written texts. Dictation is also very good because I would enjoy being creative while talking. This is like when I give a lecture to my students. Quite often, talking can stimulate me to think about something new, and that will lead to interesting results. I enjoy that process. Editing fewer times as another change. After the dictation, I still need to edit the transcribed text. This is because, for example, I could have said the same thing repeatedly and unnecessarily. I might have forgotten to include necessary information, or I might have mentioned something that is not consistent with what I mentioned before. So editing is still necessary. But here, another change that I have introduced recently is to edit in just a few rounds. My current goal is to limit the editing to only 2 rounds. The first round is to edit the transcribed text as much as possible at both high and low levels. And I would leave it untouched for at least a day or 2. When I have a fresh mind and a fresh viewpoint, I will do the second round. The second round is to introduce a final and fine polish of the full script. And this is done for the entire script all at once, and this is done right before recording. In this second round, I can serve as a listener of my content, like you listen to an episode in a single session. Editing in only a few rounds is possible because the dictation usually makes the story natural and logical, so that the story flows nicely from the start to the end in a straightforward way, even before the first round of editing. In other words, usually there will be no drastic change in the storyline during editing. Summary. I will continue to prepare a full script for every episode, at least for some time. The full script will make sure that my message to you is as logical, reasonable, and clear as possible. The updated method will help me prepare the full scripts more easily than before. Looking ahead, it would be great if I could transition towards a more casual and flexible conversational presentation style, like a free-flowing, unscripted lecture that is still based on bullet points or outline. But it will need a lot of practice. I will do it in the future. Your action. I hope I have improved the quality of the content of the episodes over the past 2 years and the way to present the content for you. But I want to improve further. If you have any requests, comments, or suggestions about this episode, please let me know. I would like to hear from you. Please send me an email. My email address is ideas@synaptologica.com. Thank you for joining me in today's episode of Foundational Skills in Life Sciences. I'm Dr. Synaptologica. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.